So Denver and Pittsburgh are scoreless as the Steelers take over at their own 25-yard line. Chuck Noll took over in 69. Well, they won in 13, Frank, and then all of a sudden the turnaround.
Not bad training. He played for Paul Brown, had his first coaching job under Sid Gilman with San Diego, and then worked under Don Shula before he came here. But he was 1-13 that first year, but he turned it all around after the season of 72. 4 Super Bowl championships.
Steelers 1st and 10 from the Pittsburgh 25-yard line. And Malone flushed out, throws on the run, going deep for Lips, tipped and incomplete. One-on-one with Steve Wilson.
Louis Lips again, the intended receiver. Steve Wilson with fine coverage, chased out of the pocket there by the linebacker, Jim Ryan, and then just underthrown a little bit. Lips tried to get back in it. Wilson, who's only 5'10", was able to get up and knock it away. See it again. Just underthrown a little bit, but Malone, under pressure, chased out of the pocket by Jim Ryan. A lot of blitzing tonight on the part of both teams.
2nd and 10 with Stallworth wide left and Lips wide to the right. Abercrombie is the eye back, and Abercrombie drops it at the 25-yard line, and Jim Ryan was right there to belt him anyway. Well, quarterbacks very much in the news. We told you about Montana, and if you've not heard yesterday, the Indianapolis Colts, who picked up Gary Hogeboom from the Dallas Cowboys in the offseason. 2nd game of the season, Orange Bowl, the fumble right there, and then Hogeboom, as it turns out, very unfortunately for him and for the Colts, picks it up, turns it into a good gain, but then Lyle Blackwood wrestles him down, and as it turned out, even though it doesn't look like it was that serious when he got up on the sideline, a separated shoulder, and enough of a separation that he's gone for the year.
That's a real tough break for Indianapolis, and of course Hogeboom, he really had a great opportunity there. Unhappy, of course, in Dallas for the past couple of years, and Indianapolis a much improving football team.
Meanwhile, the referee has just informed the crowd that the clock is not operating at the moment. It is stuck on 3:32, so the time is now being kept on the field. We're down to about the 3-minute mark of the first period. 3rd and 10. Malone under pressure. Screen is set up. Hughes makes the catch and gets belted at the 24-yard line. David Hughes, and that's Mecklenburg, number 77, along with Randy Robbins.
Steelers coming with the screen, trying to make the defense of the Denver Broncos think a little bit. They got the pass pressure that they anticipated they were getting, but they were also able to cover the screen. And once again, it's Carl Mecklenburg, who is literally all over the field for the Broncos.
Wilhite is back at his own 30-yard line. And again, Newsom to kick. Good snap. They put the pressure on from the outside, but he gets the kick away. And it's fielded at the 24-yard line by Wilhite, and he takes it back out to the 39-yard line, where Carr is in on the tackle. So thus far, it's been a Ziegfeld Follies first quarter. 1-2-3 kick. 52-yard punt, 12-yard return. A snow goose right there.
Here's something. Same year as Elway was picked number 1 by Baltimore, Mecklenburg was picked number 12. Now, there are very few 12th round draft picks still around, and Mecklenburg is a Pro Bowler from a year ago. Led the team in sacks a year ago. They moved him all over from linebacker to defensive end to inside, and he is a method player. He gets excited, he fires up the entire defense. He is the hub of it, particularly on the pass rush.
1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. With Sewell in motion out of a split back formation, and Winder taking it on a sweep and cutting it back inside, and Sammy takes it out to the 45-yard line for a gain of about 6. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Just good running by Winder. We mentioned he was a 1,000-yard rusher a couple of years ago. Here he is taking perhaps a little too wide, but breaks it back against the grain. Got a block by Mark Cooper out in front of it. The flag is down, but we're watching Winder as he spun and twisted for about 7 yards.
Illegal block, number 30, offense. Still first down.
That's Steve Sewell. so that negates it. And it will be first down back at the 29-yard line after the 10-yard march-off. 1st and 20. Well, Thursday will be not far from here, Cleveland, where the Browns, who came from behind yesterday to win over Houston, meet the Bengals, who came from behind to win in overtime over Buffalo. 8 o'clock start Eastern time Thursday.
Bernie Kosar and Boomer Esiason on the quarterbacks that you will see on Thursday night. And Kosar really coming into his own.
1st and 20, Elway, and it's in and out of the hands of Gene Lang. It was right there for him. Darrell Sims, a disappointment last year, the #1 pick in '85 out of Wisconsin, put the pressure on Elway, forcing him to get rid of it.
I don't know what you can do if you're a quarterback. You can't catch it for him, and Elway had it right on target. Got to put it out in front of him a little bit, but one you most certainly should have caught. Probably saved quite a shot, Gene Lang did, because Brian Hinkle, one of the heavy hitters for the Steelers, number 53, was really zeroing in on him.
2nd and 20, Elway is 3 out of 8, 25 yards. A very slow start. Sewell is in motion, bottom of the screen. And Elway under pressure again, and Sewell drops it. So Elway is 3 out of 9 with a couple of errors.
He's had about 4 drops on him now. Watson had a deep one a while ago. A few moments ago, it was Lang, and now it's Sewell. Danny Reeves. He used to be involved in a lot of option plays with the Dallas Cowboys. He was a University of South Carolina quarterback in their Hall of Fame down there, as a matter of fact, but went on to become a player coach. That's hard to do for the Dallas Cowboys. And in 1981 was tapped to take over the Denver Broncos from very popular Red Miller, who had been to the Super Bowl a couple of years prior to that, but he's done a great job.
3rd down and 20 from the 29-yard line. Elway protected this time, screen to Wilhite, and he gets tripped from behind. A great tackle by Brian Hinkle. Got his foot and got him down. And so the Broncos are sputtering at the outset, and Elway's not being helped by drop balls as he comes off the field, and the punting unit comes in again.
Great crowd, isn't it? We're watching a team that was shut out, and I'm sure they watched it on television 30-0. First shutout in the opening day for the Pittsburgh Steelers in, what, 53 years? And here they're really making the noise for them.
In the history of their franchise. Wheeled to kick for the 3rd time, and back is Rick Woods at his own 29. Again, the time is being kept on the field. We are in what I would assume is the final 2 minutes of the 1st quarter. 29-yard line. Woods brings it back out to the 34-yard line.
Woods is back there, in case you're wondering, because of a hamstring that has been troubling Louis Litz, one of the dangerous return men in this game. They decided they'd just let him work at the wide receiver position. And so we're watching Woods back on the punch tonight.
USC, and Frank Gifford is no longer there to take on 9th-ranked Baylor. Or Clemson taking on Georgia. Our CFA presentation. College football today begins at 3 Eastern time on Saturday. The Trojans did rather well for you on Saturday night.
All right, and you're right. And I have been there in a long time. We are told there are 54 seconds remaining in this quarter. Again, the official time being kept on the field, and we'll try and stay as close as we can to it.
1st and 10. Again, the Steelers go to the air on 1st down. Malone has great protection, then has to dump it off to Preston Gothard, and he takes it to the 44-yard line. And if you follow the Steelers, you know they almost never throw to the tight end. They didn't last week. They did only a dozen times all of last year. And Malone with a smile as everybody deep was covered, and he hits Gothard, the tight end.
They didn't want to then either. They were covered downfield. Techno really believes that he will get a different man in there when he wants to use a pass that would go to a tight end. And that man has been Ehrenberg, who is playing tonight sparingly with a very sore shoulder. But he gets rather defensive when you ask him about the production of his tight ends. And you don't really like to get him too defensive. He could put those steelies on you and makes you feel like an idiot.
He's going to get a little defensive right here because Malone, I think, has been forced to take a timeout. I say I think because maybe it's the end of the quarter. It is a timeout. Again, with the clock not operating, we have to rely on getting our information from the field. And so even though the clock shows 0, Malone did take a timeout. There are a few seconds remaining in the first quarter.
You talked about Chuck Noll. He's right in the middle with the headset there. In all his years here with the Steelers, he has never been one who has gone out and made the big trade. And when you ask him about that, he'll say to you, well, why do you want to inherit other people's problems? And that's what you primarily get when you make the trades. And the draft has not been spectacular over the past few years, and a lot of that has been because, well, the players who would be maturing right now came out of the years when Chuck Noll was 1, 2, 3, or 4 and drafting way down on the list. He'd be drafted 25, 26, 27, and those are the kinds of players that, while they are #1 draft picks, they are not the top picks in the country. So he's rather defensive about it. I like what he says about defense when we ask him about that. How important he thought defense was, he said, well, before you win it, you have to not lose it. And I think when you look at a Chuck Noll team, you think defense first and offense later.
And it's been that way for years. Meanwhile, running and passing, oddly enough, tonight, the ball has been in the air 22 times and on the ground only 10 times. There are 3 seconds, they are telling us, 3 seconds left in the quarter, and Malone had to use that timeout. And the fact that the clock wasn't operating may have cost him there, otherwise he would have let the quarter run out. Meanwhile, they get the first down as Abercrombie takes it across the 45 to the 47-yard line. But Malone, unable to see a clock, had to take a timeout before the quarter. And there's the gun, so we've played 1. Pittsburgh and Denver are scoreless at Three Rivers. Minutes is what it says right now. So we'll keep an eye on it at the outset here as it...
And along we have 22 passes in that first quarter. Let's take a look at the numbers, very close. Had the 1 turnover, and of course the 1 long field goal attempt on the part of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But coaches will always tell you that when you ask them, what do you want to do? Oh, we want to establish the running game. Then they go out and throw the ball 22 times in 1 quarter.
Maybe not Coryell. Second down and 8 as Malone goes deep looking for Lips, and incomplete. Lips reaching for it, and he was covered by Louis Wright. That's a pretty good matchup right there. You've got Lips emerging as a superstar, and Louis Wright, who's been around for 12 years.
Good coverage. Now watch Louis Wright. He's right there. Lips had given him an in move just prior to that, and Wright didn't buy it at all. They continue to work on Louis Wright, and he has had a lot of single coverage, and he's come up with a good job on almost every occasion.
In terms of injuries, too, the Broncos missing Haynes back there. He's on injured reserve.
With a full thigh muscle, they should get him back in a couple of weeks.
On 3rd down and 8, it's Malone throwing, and incomplete, intended for Ehrenberg, who had to dive for it, and the crowd gets on the Steeler offense again. They love the defense. All of the cheering has been for the D, but no for the O.
I'll tell you, 9 of 27, as Malone was a week ago. Those passes you have to complete. Hey, that could have well been a first down. It should have been a first down.
Strange sort of reaction, wasn't it? Was that a grin? As he looked at Ehrenberg. Not sure you can afford to be grinning when you haven't scored in 5 periods. At the 16-yard line, Wilhite receives the punt. And from there, will the Broncos commence their next drive as Elway gets a final word from Reeves and heads back in.
Holy smokes, what is this? It's a Pontiac.
Campbell, the backup quarterback, and there he is. And they also have a rookie, Bubby Brister, who's number 3.
Malone 4 of 12, 31 yards, 1 sack.
Broncos have it at their own 17-yard line. We're in the first minute of the second quarter. Al Michaels and Frank Gifford with you from Pittsburgh. And Sammy Winder breaks it past the 20, has the first down, and gets out to the 33-yard line. Sammy Winder, Southern Mississippi, 5th round choice in '82.
Got a couple of guards out in front of it. Ken Lanier, Mark Cooper. Good block over in the left side by Ken Lanier. Springs Winder out for a nice pickup out to the 32-yard line.
First and 10. Winder and Lang are the running backs. Sampson goes in motion to the same side as Watson, and they give it to Winder, and he has a nice hole through the middle on a trap block at the 40-yard line. There's a flag down. In fact, there are 2 flags down, and at least one of the calls is holding. The other was thrown into the pile at the 40-yard line. And it's a face mask against Pittsburgh. So holding against Denver, face mask against the Steelers. Here's McElwee.
5-yard face mask foul on the defense, number 34. Holding against the offense. Penalties offset. Replay the down.
Down to be
Holding
replayed.
is on 64 offense.
That's Billy Bryan. We understand we're on backup audio at the moment, and that's obviously in the process of being rectified. Put another quarter in the slot, would you?
Get another plumber up here. I think I can almost hear you.
First and 10 from the 32-yard line. Elway firing it. Then Sampson, he takes it at the 40 and gets it to the 42 and very close to a first down.
Now, we talked about a strong arm. You saw it right there. Elway just whipping that ball. He has one of the strongest arms I think I've ever seen. That was a little short out, and he just had it on a line all the way. And got it. No question.
An official's timeout here for the chains to be brought in. The thing about Elway, he was a great star in high school in Southern California, highly recruited, went to Stanford and continued their great quarterback tradition. And they knew he was going to be a star from the outset. There was never any question as a freshman. As you can see, they're just shy of the first down, but Elway went to the farm, as they call it, at Palo Alto with glowing credentials, and he certainly didn't disappoint.
You can watch him grow up, as we have over the past 4 years. He came up sort of a wide-eyed kid with great raw talent. Danny Reeves kind of took him under his arm, nurtured him along, and all of a sudden he has become a kind of a quarterback that reads much more quickly. He knows where to, he can take a look at a pass pattern and see it develop. He can make his quick reads that he couldn't do a couple of years ago, and he's better this year than he was last year. But more than that, he's become a leader on this team. Unanimously voted the captain of this team offensively.
Let's see what he does on 2nd and inches, and he keeps it on the ground where Winder picks up the first down. Sammy gets it out to the 46-yard line, and so the Broncos are on the move. 12 minutes, 35 seconds remaining in the first half. A scoreless half thus far in Pittsburgh.
And Danny Reeves is getting what he wanted to have happen. Again, Studdard, left guard, Keith Bishop, the right guard. They're leading on the opposite side as Winder follows the blocking and gets the first down out at the 46-yard line. And this is what Danny Reeves wanted to do, and highly unusual. They're moving the ball with ease now on the ground against the Steelers.
And he has Watson in motion, going back the other way. So he and Sampson are on the same side, and coming across was Gerald Williams, the rookie out of Auburn.
Encroachment, number 98, defense, still first down.
You might say, why do coaches like to run the football? Well, if you don't follow this game, it's quite simple. If you can run the football, you literally can do just about what you want with it. It means you can slow down any kind of a pass rush if the defensive linemen are thinking, well, I've got to watch the run, I've got to play my position. And more than that, you can come back with a play action, faking the run and going to the receiver. You can do just about what you want to do if you can establish that running game. So we kid about it, but it is the effective thing in this game still today.
Back to the basics. 1st and 5, and Winder has it go through his hands. Elway gets dropped as the pressure was put on that time by Keith Gary out of Oklahoma. And again, another error on the receiver.
You've got to catch these, and Elway's had about 5 of them now. Robin Cole, by the way, in there on the hit. Robin Cole probably lost in the outside linebacking fame of Brian Hinkle and Mike Merriweather, but since he's moved inside, he's become a fine linebacker.
Just for baseball, there'd be a lot of E3s thus far. Elway's been on target.
Oh, that's that pass again. He whips it out there.
It's Watson. And Watson is close to a first and has it. And that's the 300th catch of Steve Watson's career.
Look what he puts on that. Great form, just fires it in there, uses the body. Harvey Clayton, not bad coverage, but that ball was there in an instant. You can be covering the receiver well. If you've got a quarterback that can gun it like that, he's going to beat you in most occasions, and Elway loves to force that ball in there. He's getting a little more coy about it, but he'll still try to get it in there.
1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. Draw. Winder, he gets 2, takes it to the 41-yard line as we come down to the 11-minute mark, and David Little is in on the tackle for the Steelers.
David Little alternates with Dennis Winston at that strong inside left side linebacker position.
He was the leading tackler on the team in 1985. Brother Larry, of course, played guard for the Dolphins.
And well.
Very. 2nd and 8. With Sewell going in motion, Elway rolling, throwing, wide open at the 31-yard line, the tight end Clarence Kay.
Well, that was all arm. He was under tremendous pressure, being pursued by Keith Gary, sort of a designated pass rusher for the Steelers. Take a look at him, 92. Elway with a little fake. Gary steps inside the block, and Elway just whips it on the dead run. Didn't even turn his body to set up, and gets it out to Kay. He's impressive, Al. Every time you watch him, he gets better.
In his 4th season, he's picked up a 1st down, and he gives on an inside handoff to Lang over the right side, inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. 2nd down and 7 as Mike Merriweather makes the tackle. Merriweather in his 4th year out of Pacific.
And one of the best. He's not big at 6'2" and 215. But he is by far and away the best pass rushing linebacker the Steelers have. A couple of years ago, he had 15 sacks. They eased off on it a little last year, but they are using him in a little more of an aggressive way this year.
2nd and 7 now as the Broncos have mounted their most impressive drive, and it's Gary Dunn pointing across the line and saying that he was drawn
Number 67,
off.
defense.
And
Still 2nd down.
McElwee says not a good enough acting job.
Twice now the Steelers have been drawn off. You wonder maybe Billy Bryan might have a little something going in there. Maybe a little extra grunt. A little strategy played out in the middle of that offensive line. A lot of funny little noises. And a lot of references to your ancestry. All those things taking place down there. A lot of hot breath. It's a place not to be, is what I'm trying to say.
The trenches. 2nd down and 2 at the 23. Winder gets a couple. It's Gene Lang. Lang getting close to the 1st down at the 21-yard line. Lang slightly shaken up earlier, but missed only a couple of plays. And out of Louisiana State, where he did a lot of blocking down there. He was a couple of years ahead of Dalton Hilliard and Gary James, but really didn't make his mark as a rusher. But Dan Reeves liked him, liked what he saw of him. They drafted him in the 11th round in '84. And here he is in the starting lineup. 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line. As Elway has a lot of time, throws open as Watson, and Watson is there for the touchdown.
That was beautiful. Watson and Sampson both lined up over the left side. They both ran what appeared to be post patterns, and Watson really sold it to the defensive back covering him, which was Harvey Clayton. He sold a post pattern all the way. Elway gives him a little pump fake. 81 is Watson now. Drive to the inside, even looked to the inside, and he spun Clayton right around. And again, it's that strong arm. Clayton got back into it. He recovered well, but Elway had it on a string, zipped it out there. There are not many people who can run that pattern, and there are not hardly anyone who can throw the football on that kind of a line.
Rich Carlos's extra point is perfect. And so Watson, who will really have to pick up the slack in the absence of Johnson, and a man who caught a touchdown pass last week, does it again tonight. 7-0 Denver.